thanks for tuning in. Today I am going to be coloring the Brutus Monroe Succulent Border Stamp with some of the aqua pigments. You can see here that I'm putting them into a plastic palette and I'm using the Trick or Treat limited edition aqua pigments in these skull glass jars. They're so cool. I'm also using the little travel sizes that I got at the Create Your Own Ending event. I love the Brutus Monroe aqua pigments. They are so fun to work with and there's so many colors available. I'm also using the squeaky clean dispenser here, but I have water in this. And one of the ladies I met at the Create Your Own Ending event told me that this is what she does when she watercolors, and she uses the squeaky clean dispenser for water, and it has really come in handy. So thank you, Kara, for that tip. So here I'm just mixing up some of the green colors, because when you're coloring succulents, there are so many different colors of succulents that are out there. And the reason I love this stamp and that I love to color succulents is because there are some that actually have purple in them. And well, I love purple. So anything I can color purple, I'm in. So right here, I'm just starting to lay down some green color, and I mixed a couple of the greens together. The colors that I have from the Skull Jar Aqua Pigments, there's one that's called Pumpkin Guts. I love that name, but it's kind of like a hay straw yellow brownie color, and it's really cool, and it looks really good mixing it with green because it brings out kind of a yellow green color and it's not too bright. So I use that to mix with a regular green for some of these colors. And you can see I'm just dipping get a little bit of water up there in the top of that dispenser, and then I just kind of clean my brush off in that. And then when it gets dirty, you can just sop it up with a little bit of paper towel and get fresh water. And that's why it's so handy to use the squeaky clean dispenser for watercoloring, because you don't have to have a big jar of water that you keep getting dirty and having to keep refill. You just have that little kind of reservoir on the top there of the dispenser, and it works really well. So what I'm doing here with this one is laying down some green kind of towards the base of those, I don't know what they're called, petals, leaves, I don't know. And I'm going to end up putting some purple in there. So what I did was put down some green, and then I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I bring the purple in. So when you're doing watercoloring, if you can layer colors, but if you want to layer them, you need to wait for the first layer to dry before you put in the second layer. If you want the colors to mix and blend, you have to do it while both colors are still wet. So I'm moving on here. I'm letting that dry a little bit while I'm mixing up some of the purple. And I'm using the Nightshade color purple from the Halloween limited edition set and mixing it with the violet from the little travel set. And I'm kind of going in there on the tips of these parts of the succulents and bringing in a little bit of that purple. Actually, that was the red violet I mixed with the Nightshade from the Trick or Treat Skull Aqua Pigments. And that makes a really nice kind of muted reddish purpley beautiful color. So I just went around all of the tips of those and colored those in. I always keep it's a flour sack towel, I think that's what they're called. I bought a big pack of those at Walmart, and I keep one of those on my chair at all times, and they don't have like lint or fuzz or anything like that that comes off on them. I mean, mine has cat hair on it, so I have to change it frequently because my cats like to lay on it. But it's really good to keep around to clean up your work surface. I wipe my stamps off with it. I would dab my water brush on it when I want to switch colors, so it's really good for that. So here I think I brought in, let me look, I used a green and I mixed a little bit of blue green in with it because I wanted a blue tint for the parts I was just coloring there. And now I'm going back and adding a little bit of purple in here at the base of those little leaves. This one I decided to start with the purple, so I'm going around there laying down some purple at the base. And I did more of a light coat here, so I used a little bit of water. I let my water brush have a little bit of water on it before going into that color, so it was a little bit lighter wash of a color there. So I'm moving on because I want to let that purple dry before I come back to it. So I'm laying a little bit more of that blue-green color into these leaves. And then mixing in some more of the pumpkin guts to get more of a yellowy green color for the tips of the leaves. It just kind of gives it a nice two-tone dimension, that kind of thing, so it doesn't look so flat if you just use one color. And now I'm going back here because that purple dried, and I'm going to put a light coloring of the green on there. And I think it looks really nice together. I'm doing a layer here since the purple was dry, they're not mixing together. Because if you mix purple and green together, a lot of times you get a muddy brown color. Okay, so I'm going to play some music while I finish up the coloring, and when that's done, I'll meet you back here and we'll put a card together. Now here I am doing a little bit something different. I let the purple stay wet, and if you just bring in a color and just touch the other color to where it's still wet, the water kind of sucks that color out and it kind of just works and does its own thing. So I think that's a really cool effect because it just kind of goes where it wants to go. And this image I have embossed with black embossing powder, so it has kind of raised images, which makes it really nice and easy because it keeps the kind of water where you want it to go. It doesn't bleed out everywhere because those little raised edges are keeping it in each of those little sections. So my stamped image there is about 5¼ inches. So I'm going to make a 5½ inch square card. So my sheet of paper is 5½ inches by 11, scored and folded in the middle. I'm just trying to see which side I like the best here. I think I do like it like that. I'm going to stamp the sentiment in the center of that purple piece. And we're going to use the sentiment that came with the set because it fits right there in that nice little cutout part. I'm going to put my card base into my MISTI stamping positioner there. And sometimes I use a little bit of repositionable adhesive to keep that card closed so it doesn't pop up when I'm trying to stamp it and ruin my card base. And here I'm going to put down the colored piece because I want to see where exactly my sentiment needs to go so I can get that centered perfectly. So we'll just line that up. And close the door of my MISTI. And then I can take that stamped piece out and just leave the card base there. Using the magic powder tool from Brutus Monroe to take away any static, and then the Brutus Monroe embossing ink. And the embossing powder I'm going to use is one of the powders I got in the Brutus Monroe Embossing Powder of the Month Club. It's a Night Shift purple color. Oh, it is so gorgeous. And it really goes well with the colors in this. It brings out all the purple that we put into those succulents. So I'll go ahead and take that over and emboss it, and this is our finished image. The lighting doesn't show it as well, but it has a really nice shimmery metallic color to it. It's really pretty. And I do like to use the Squeaky Clean from Brutus Monroe, and this new sweet pumpkin spice is amazing. It smells so good. Just gonna dust off any powder that's left there. Sometimes there's a little bit of mica that's left over, but it dusts off really easily with any kind of brush. I do want to pop this up, so I'm going to use the Brutus Monroe black foam tape. They have two different sizes, and this is the thinner one of the two. So I'm just going to put pieces all over the back there. And I have a pair of scissors that I dedicated to using cutting foam tape because it always gets adhesive stuck on them and gets them all gunked up, so I don't want to use good scissors for that. So I have a pair of scissors that I just use for cutting foam tape. We'll make sure we get into all those little nooks and crannies so it doesn't sag anywhere or get pushed down when we mail it. We'll take off all the liners and stick it on there. And that is our finished card. Thank you so much for joining me today for the watercoloring of the Brutus Monroe Succulent Border Stamp. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of all my videos. Thank you and have a great day.